I only wanted caffeine and 17 quiet minutes by a window at Starbucks. Instead, I got Clarissa, my ex-wife, walking headline for high drama, making a grand entrance on stilettos that sounded like a metronome for bad decisions. Beside her, Victor. Rich, polished, and clinging to her arm like a barnacle to a yacht, she clocked me instantly. Well, well, she purred, projecting for the whole cafe. Still drinking cheap coffee? My new husband makes you look pathetic. The old me would have flared or folded. The new me took a slow sip of cold brew. That's nice, I said. 2 words. Her smile collapsed. I nodded to Victor, walked out, and, for the first time in years, didn't feel like I owed Clarissa a reaction. Exhibit E. History. Clarissa was a tornado in designer clothes. Love bombing. Gaslighting, weaponized nostalgia. She could turn a dinner party into a one-woman show about her suffering and your shortcomings. I kept the receipts, literal ones. Insurance snafu after our divorce meant her medical bills still pinged my mailbox. Tests, prescriptions, follow-ups for STDs she never disclosed. I didn't post it, didn't rant, I just kept it. Exhibit B. The Mercedes. 2 days later, I spot a white Mercedes straddling 2 spaces at the mall. Vanity plate, Victor 1. Of course. I stood there with my groceries and clarity. I typed a note. Simple, factual, unemotional. Your wife has chlamydia, gonorrhea, and HPV. Prescriptions in her cabinet confirm it. Get tested. I tucked it under the wiper and drove home lighter than I'd felt in years. Detonation next morning. My buddy calls, "Get on Instagram now. There's Victor at a fancy patio restaurant waving papers." "When were you planning to tell me?" he booms. The camera pans to Clarissa, stunned dough and couture. He checked her cabinet. Bottles, dates, names. Within hours, our Clarissa gate trended locally. Victor posted proof. Labels, test results, pharmacy printouts. The internet did what it does. Stitched angles, added context, and produced a surprisingly effective PSA about testing and honesty. Former friends chimed in. She tried to sell me a pyramid scheme cleanse. She borrowed my handbag and ghosted me. Raymond, the work friend I'd caught with her, posted that she'd sworn she was clean. He'd believed her. I said nothing online. I ate cereal and watched consequences assemble themselves. Family flamethrowers. Then came Marcus, her brother, threatening me on Facebook, using his real name and a wrong version of my address. I filed a report. The detective chuckled, visited Marcus, and the posts vanished. A paralegal cousin slid into my DMs with a cease and desist written like a soap script. I screenshotted that too. Unexpected allies. 2 messages changed everything. The first was from Sylvia, Victor's sister and a women's health NP. She'd warned him to test. Love made him deaf. Your note probably saved him, she wrote. The second was from Helena, Raymond's wife. She'd found hotel receipts, jewelry purchases, and timelines that matched my worst memories. He tested positive, she said flatly. I'm filing for divorce. Want to compare notes? We did. Clarissa had run a 2-track con, telling Raymond I was abusive so he'd fund her escape, while telling me her trips and jewelry were apologies from me. She financed the fiction of my generosity with his wallet. The office meltdown Monday. Clarissa stormed my lobby like an Emmy reel. Tears that didn't smudge mascara. He's stalking me. He's obsessed. My manager asked her to leave. Security ambled over. Clarissa shrieked about rights and lawsuits. Half the office filmed. She was escorted out, hurling threats on loop. By lunch, she'd launched a GoFundMe for legal fees and therapy. The comments were savage. Links to Victor's evidence, reminders that therapy starts with truth. The file Tuesday, I met Victor's mother, Margaret, at a quiet cafe. Impeccable. Unflappable. She slid a thick folder across the table. I hired an investigator when she asked Victor to co-sign a car at 6 weeks, she said. Your note confirmed what we suspected. The file was a forensic biography. 8 years of targeted relationships, overlapping timelines, staged emergencies, money extraction. A boutique that never existed beyond a website. Luxury apartments on co-signed leases. Credit cards opened with borrowed personal info. Multiple clinics and pharmacies to muddy the trail. Fake accounts to surveil exes and catfish new marks. We've turned this over to the FBI, Margaret said. Financial crimes, identity theft, multi-state. For the first time, I didn't feel like a bitter ex. I felt like a witness. The raid 3 weeks later, neighbors' videos showed federal agents hauling boxes from Clarissa's building. The news Chiron, local woman arrested in multi-state fraud scheme. Her mugshot looked nothing like the curated goddess she'd been. The charges read like a glossary. Wire fraud, mail fraud, identity theft, bank fraud, reporters called. I declined. Victor texted. We met for a beer. I thought I was rescuing her from you, he admitted. She said you were controlling and cruel, I laughed. She'd probably billed your gifts as healing expenses. 40 grand in 6 months, he said, wincing. Aftermath. The internet moved on. The FBI did not. The case documented over $200,000 in financial fraud and at least a dozen identity theft victims. Her brother's threats evaporated. The paralegal cousin went quiet. My therapist called it a masterclass in boundaries. I told the truth, then stepped back. My mom brought a clipping and said she was proud. Mrs. Chun next door offered celebratory casserole and pepper spray, just in case. I started sleeping through the night again. I even risked a first date without scanning for red flags like a bomb tech, sentencing 5 years in federal prison. Restitution to victims, a lifetime of supervised credit. The judge's words were simple: patterns, harm, intentional deception. I watched the headline glow on my laptop while eating cereal straight from the box, sun warming my living room. No victory lap, no gloating, just peace, the kind that arrives when truth finally does its slow, relentless work. Clarissa had weaponized performance for years. In the end, a plain note on a windshield did what theater never could. It told the truth, and the truth for once was enough.